Hello, beautiful people. I shared an article earlier this week. It was a blog post written by Seth Godin, and he says, and the name of that article is "Stop Bullying the Entrepreneurs." I thought it was a really interesting blog post because what it essentially involves is you have basically companies with a lot of money are bullying entrepreneurs that are just starting out who don't have as much money as far as it comes to trademarks. They're bullying them and saying, hey, you can't use this word. And some of the times they're not even in the right. They're only doing it so that I don't know why they're doing it actually. And I guess that's what the whole point of bullying is, right? So in this case, Entrepreneur Magazine's their lawyer sent a cease and desist letter to the host of the Front Row Entrepreneur podcast, telling her that her use of the word entrepreneur was infringing on their trademark. So let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about whether or not the use of the word entrepreneur it infringes on Entrepreneur's Magazine. So we talk about trademarks. And trademarks, we know that trademarks protect brand identifiers, and those brand identifiers are those things that indicate the source of a good or a service, right? We also know, if you follow me or participate in any of my trainings, that when you register a trademark, your trademark is limited to how you use it. It doesn't give you free run of that word. That doesn't mean that you can prevent everybody everywhere from using that word. The situation actually reminds me of a podcast that we did a few months ago regarding Prince and his estate and their trademarking of the color purple, and people were just like, oh my gosh, she's going to trademark purple. That means I can't use purple anymore. People shouldn't be allowed to trademark colors. And that's not really how that works. And so when you trademark this word, so with Entrepreneur Magazine, entrepreneur is a word. It is a real word. It's not a made up word. It's a word. So they can't prevent people from using the word entrepreneur. Now, what they can do is prevent people from using the word entrepreneur as it relates to publications, because that's how they have their trademarks. And even with that, I would say that their protection may be limited because the word is such a descriptive word. What other word is there for people like us, right? That are starting businesses. What other word is there? And so and that's why I always advise people, when you're getting trademarks, you don't want to just use common words if you don't have to. The best trademarks and the strongest trademarks are words that are made up. They are words that are suggestive. They are words that are arbitrary. When I say arbitrary, I always think of Apple. Apple, is Apple. But then when you put it with the use of a computer, you're like, oh, okay. I would not have thought of that. But what that doesn't do is give Apple the right to prevent other people from using the word Apple. Apples are still apples. Entrepreneurs are still entrepreneurs. So at the end of the day, as business owners, we have to know what our rights are. As entrepreneurs, we have to know what our rights are so that when we get these cease and desist letters, we don't have heart attacks. We don't spend money unnecessarily trying to rebrand when, in fact, we don't have to rebrand. We can use that money to actually fight the opposition. And that's what they need to know, that we just won't take this stuff sitting down. We have to know what our rights are. We need to know that we just won't take this stuff sitting down. So Front Row Entrepreneur, the whole purpose of a trademark is to exclude other people from using the same or similar mark as you in same or related services, so that we can avoid likelihood of confusion with consumers, right? So no one is going to hear the Front Row Entrepreneur podcast and think that it's hosted by Entrepreneur Magazine. Why? Because entrepreneur is a word. It's a real word, and people use that word all day, every day. I think Seth Godin said that it's over 800,000 uses of it when you put it in Google. So with that much use, it's impossible to take that word and just claim it and put it in your pocket. That's what a lot of people, they think that when they get a trademark, that's what's going to happen. That they're going to take that word and no one else is going to be able to use that word. The only time that you can have something like where you have that type of protection. Now, there are some companies that do have that type of protection, where they do have a mark that's so strong that they can prevent other people from using it. And so when I think of that, I think of Nike, I think of Coca-Cola, Pepsi. But if you notice, all those things, McDonald's, all those things have something in common. They are very unique in their field. Like, you're not going to see 1,000 McDonald's. You're not going to see, used everywhere, or Pepsi or Coca-Cola. You're not going to see that, right? Because when they were branding, they took time to make sure that they were using something that was unique enough so that they can stand the test of time. And the way that you get that distinctive mark is that it's over time. It's not just, I'm going to register this mark and now no one else can use it. It's over time, and you're putting money into your brand to make it a worldwide phenomenon where everybody everywhere knows that brand, right? So as it relates to this here and big companies bullying entrepreneurs, one, I would just say cut it out, because it doesn't have goodwill toward the market. We consumers, we see that and we're like, oh, that's how they're acting. Like, okay. Especially when you're bullying, and in the case of Entrepreneur Magazine, like, you're bullying people that are your target demographic. These are people that you would want to read your magazine, and you are bullying them over a word that is a common word. So cut it out. So if I had to say, our 3 takeaways from today's podcast is that, 1, when you register a trademark, it doesn't give you all absolute rights to that word if it's a common word. So if you're trademarking words like entrepreneur, or I don't know, I can't even think of anything else off the top of my head, you have to be aware that you're not going to be able to prevent other people everywhere from using the word entrepreneur, which is what people call me and ask me all the time. Can I trademark this word so that no one else can use it? That's not how trademarks work, which I guess that brings me to point number 2. Your protection for trademarks are limited to how you actually use the mark. So if you are in the business of real estate and you have a trademark in the real estate field, you would not be able to prevent someone that is car dealership from using that same trademark, because it's not related. Or maybe, so that's the thing. But you would be, so let's say you're in real estate, maybe you sell real estate, right? And you have a trademark, and then there's a company that does mortgages. So they're in the real estate business. Maybe they're property management. Maybe it's a property management company. So they're not in the same field, but they're in a related field. So then you will be able to prevent them from using your same or similar mark, because it's in the same or related field, and there could be some confusion in that use, right? So the first takeaway is that you don't have all absolute power when you trademark a word. The second takeaway is that your trademark protection is limited to the same or related field. And the third takeaway is, as entrepreneurs and business owners, you have to know your rights. You have to know when someone is calling BS on you and when they're not. So one of those ways you can do that is continue listening to this podcast. I love talking to you all. Hiring an attorney to consult you on giving you the basics. Reading, taking courses. I actually have a course that's coming out on Monday. It's a 5-week series masterclass where we're going to talk about everything from copyrights to trademarks to contracts and some other things. And you guys can find out about that by going to LaConyaMurray.com and clicking the link for the free Launch Legally Masterclass. Because knowledge is power. Knowledge is absolute power. That's all I have for you all. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, please do so. Leave a comment if you found this information useful. If it helps you, if you're like, I didn't know that. Definitely rate and subscribe. Let me know. And share it with a friend. All right? Take care.